Hi, it's Jessie. I'm back again, and I'm coming back because I just feel the need to explain some things. Um, they call me a scammer. Okay, am I a scammer in their eyes? But let's look at how they've come to this point. Right? I was disabled before I was an adult. Okay, I was a high school dropout. But look at the way that my high school years went. I went to freshman year of high school, dropped out in sophomore year, did correspondence school, got a job, worked nights on an answering service. Okay, those siblings of mine who are saying that I was violent or a drug addict or an alcoholic when I was a kid and use I dropped out of school as evidence, they don't know what they're talking about. They left home before I ever dropped out or got my first job. That's why, though I was disabled young, I have survivor's benefits and my own benefits because I worked as a kid when I dropped out of school, right? So let's get those facts straight there, you know? It's easy to make someone look like a scammer when you twist the details of their life, when you make things look like the way you want them to. Like they said that I had been court ordered to institutions, and this is not true either. They say they have my fingerprints on file. My fingerprints are on file because I substitute taught. 4 years I substitute taught in Matson, Illinois, right? Um, I've never been arrested in my life. Yeah, I stole some lip gloss when I was like 17, but it was a free sample, and I didn't get arrested. My friend who stole a bunch of makeup, and I didn't know she was stealing, you know, um, and I didn't really steal either because it was a free sample. It's just my friend stole a bunch of makeup and she got caught and I got searched. Free sample, actual theft. Just because I was with someone, I didn't know she was going to do that. Um, but that wasn't on me. Don't call me a thief because of that. That's ridiculous. I was a kid. You know. Um, Other things they say. Um, they call me a drunk. I don't drink. I don't like the feeling of being out of control, intoxicated. So if I do drink, I drink one. One. My limit is one. Uh, People call me a lightweight. They say I can't handle my liquor in the funny way, because I can't drink, you know. And plus I get sick for like days after I do drink. I'm just out of sorts. Um, but they keep saying these things, you know. They have people following me around and taking pictures of me, right? Just random people taking pictures. Like, I remember when I did my undergrad, we people watched, okay? We would look at one image of a person, one situation. Maybe we got to see them for about 5 minutes interacting with their family. And from this interaction, we were to tell the story of their lives, of what was happening. In kindergarten with the kids I taught, one thing that we would do for the assignment is we'd give them a picture and tell them to tell the story. And when we do these things, it tells a lot more about the person telling the story than it does about the person who's having their story told. So when you're judging me from snapshots of people who are stalking me, gang stalking me, it's not exactly a fair um, a fair scenario, right? What's my life like? You know, um, my favorite rabbi, his wife posted a video, and I believe the title of it was something like "Being Okay When You're Not Okay," and it's about being present in the moment. And I think that part of the problem for me is that I always look like I'm okay. I I suffer for God. It's my covenant. I'm not very dramatic, and mostly people don't care. And if I am upset, then they even judge me harsher and start calling me crazy, or start making up news stories to define why I'm upset. So I basically don't react. And then they said I have an affect disorder because I don't show affect. But really, I think I've been autistic my whole life. They offered me my Social Security back a few years ago, told me I was autistic. I took this RADS test online, and what was my score? Let's just say that it said that I am very autistic, okay? It's crazy. Um, the things that they say, though once they realize that autism is something you're born with, they decided to renege on that offer of saying that I was autistic, and then decided to tell me that I was ADHD and schizophrenic and this and that, and it's just ridiculous. Just because I have a covenant with God, right? Then you think, oh, we can label her schizophrenic because she has religious beliefs that don't fit within the church. It's ridiculous, the things that they do, and the things that they do, the lies that they tell. It's all to cover up their attack. They're justifying themselves in doing what they do to me. Completely, totally, and utterly ridiculous. I thought I lived in a country where people had rights, where you couldn't take someone's life without giving them, the accused has rights, the right to a trial, the right to face your accuser, the right to know what you're being accused of, because they don't even really tell me that until recently. They troll me in my Google feed, which is the most stupid way to communicate, because, when I look through my Google feed and it says things like, what's a good one that they put on here? Oh, they put Michael Kors handbags on here, and they put some cruises on here, because they want me to be the welfare queen. So if I looked at these links, then it would prove their case, right? They keep putting them in my feed, They also put sports videos in my feed. I'm not a sports fan. They put a lot of junk in my feed, a lot of marriage videos. I'm not married. I've never been married. I don't want to be married. They try to make things. They tell their own story, right? They gave me no choice in life. They stripped away my Social Security and ruined my reputation, so I can't work. They went behind me in every job that I had and ruined my reputation there, so that the people who worked there wouldn't even talk to me. Miss Patty, who used to call me personally for work every time they needed a sub, would not take my phone calls anymore. The music teacher, who would call me personally every time she needed a sub, would not take my phone calls. Because I was trying to see, like, what's going on? How do I fix this? Who do I talk to that I know? And there was no reaching out to people who I spent 4 years working with, who I had good working relationships with, And then they also put these religious videos in my feed. Like yesterday, there was one, a Jewish one, saying, and I'm not a Jew, by the way, but saying that it's better to have my name restored than wealth. And I looked at this thing like, oh my God, they're trying to gaslight me into agreeing with them. Like, oh, yeah, if you just restore my name, everything will be all right. But I've been living in isolation for 10 years now, where the only communication I have is with people spying on me, only coming to talk to me to dig out information on me or follow me taking pictures. I take care of my kids, and that's about it. So how well do you think I'm going to be? How socially prepared do you think I am for the world at this point? I might have graduated with high honors with both my undergrad and graduate degrees, but you put somebody through this and it breaks parts of them where they can't respond in communication anymore. So you want to restore my name, but I'm broken. I'm useless for the rest of my life because I probably can't relate to people anymore, because I'm probably always going to be suspicious of, are you genuinely here for me? Because everyone has been sent into me. There's a guy who lives right off Cumberland on the next block over. I walk my dog around the neighborhood, and he's always yelling at me, hey, come here. And I'm like, I keep on walking because I'm like, dude, I don't know why you're yelling at me. I don't respond to people like that. You know, I'm not your dog. You don't beckon me like this. And he's always saying it, like every time I walk by there. And I eventually stopped walking that way and started walking through the park and then going the next block over so I could avoid completely being seen by this guy. So I took my daughter to the DMV the other day, and out comes this guy as me and my daughter are leaving just to say hello to me. And I'm like, you look familiar. Where do I know you from? He's like, oh, you walk your dog. And I said, oh, you look different standing up. You're really tall, you know. But it made me wonder. It made me wonder if, the whole scenario wasn't just set up. Because this guy, he's always out there smoking weed in his car, right? And he's always yelling at me, hey, come here. And if I had talked to him while he's smoking weed, and everybody knows he smokes weed sitting in his car, someone snap a picture, they tell a story, right? I take my daughter to the DMV, right? I see this guy there. He comes out from behind to meet me at the door as me and her are walking out, And I'm just like, dude, if I refuse to talk to you when you're sitting in your car, I didn't say this because I didn't want to cause a fuss because, they test my response, right? They provoke the hell out of me so that they can say that I'm angry or that I'm rude or that, they tell their own negative story of my character. But this guy comes out from behind the office to say hello to me as I'm walking out the door with my daughter. I'm like, wow, who are you? Your face looks so familiar. Oh, I walk my dog. Yeah, you're the guy that I avoid, like the plague. Oh, nice seeing you, bye. I didn't tell him anything negative. Oh, good to see you, bye. It's like, I can't even respond to people appropriately, because they make something of it. I mean, how would you respond to some guy always yelling at you while you're walking your dog? Hey, come here. How would you respond to that? And when he comes out of the DMV office like a little ninja, because I guess he works there, when he spots you and comes running, and you're like, dude, now that I know who you are, why did you come running to say hello to me? But it makes me wonder, you see, because they talk to all my neighbors around me here. They talk to Jamie, who lives down Ridge. They talk to Alex and Chris, who also live down Ridge. They got people who live all around Cumberland. I wonder if this guy wasn't also one of them, And where they coordinate the attack like this. How am I supposed to go out and enter the world, Yeah, I can play off like I'm not offended by what's going on because I know that you're judging me for my response to everything. So I can play off like I'm not offended. But believe me, I am offended. And one day I plan to tell the story of it because this stuff is ridiculous. It's completely, totally, and utterly ridiculous. And this has been my life. I've been pinned down in this situation for more than 10 years. They don't let me go. And actually, they'll tell me to go, but they tell me I have to leave my kids because they have this cover story going in the background. And they want people to believe that it was an absent parent, that I didn't take care of my kids. They want people to believe these things, so they want to separate me from my children so that they can say what they want to say. But I'm not leaving my children because, quite frankly, there's no one to leave them to. And though they made my children's father look like, Father of the Year, every time, my girls are like me. Go away, Daddy. Go away, Daddy. We don't fight with them. We don't argue with them. Sometimes he gets offended with my daughter saying go away, which is why that one time he went to go beat her with a belt and I stopped him, because he's intrusive, he trespasses, he passes everything off as play, and it's not funny. It's not okay. And yeah, if they need something, we can go to him and ask him, and he's like, here you go. And he'll say, do some chores for it. But other than that, he won't cook for them. When I used to work, I'd cook and he wouldn't even make them a plate when it was time for them to eat, you know. He'd tell them, you have to wait for your mom to come home, even though I cooked and left a pot of soup on the stove. He's going to feed them tacos because that's really the only thing he knows how to cook. My kids don't eat tacos, especially not his kind of tacos. Oh, God. I wouldn't touch these things with a 10-foot pole. He puts like 5 pounds of ground beef, 3 cans of refried beans, 2 cans of diced tomatoes, like 4 seasoning packets, and he puts all this in a giant frying pan together, mixes it up together, so that it's like a bean paste, and then puts it on a taco and calls it dinner. It is. I've never seen anybody make tacos like this. I don't know where he got the idea from it. I don't eat tacos to begin with. My kids don't eat tacos to begin with. But I'm pretty sure if anybody else would serve his tacos, they wouldn't eat tacos anymore either. You know? So the stories they tell, right? It's utterly ridiculous. And then they say, what? They said, what? It's better to have my name restored? You want to restore my name? You done killed me. You done killed me and buried me like, I don't know how many times we've been going through this now. 9 times around this hanging tree. 9 times you you lynched me. 9 times you defrauded me of life. 9 times you proved your case by taking pictures and telling the story. Man, these people, let me tell you how they do this, right? In school, someone will give my kid a notebook, and they'll note it down, gave Ben a notebook, right? But they won't note down that Ben had all his school supplies, you know? They won't note down that when Mom found out they gave Ben something, Mom called them up directly and said, no, Ben can't take this, let me pay you for it, or let me send you a new one. You know, they don't note down these things. They just red flag you for the kid lacking supplies, right? Take your kid to the doctor. They'll counsel your kids about drugs and alcohol. And then in the file, even if your kid has never done drugs or never drank alcohol in their lives, in the file they'll write, counseled child on drug and alcohol use. You know, this is how they scam you. They called me a scammer, but this is what they do to you. When they want to tell a lie about you. This is what the Bible will call working iniquity, right? Because they make things look as though they're not. They make lies look like truth all day long. And though they shouldn't be my enemy, though they should be, you know, they take a Hippocratic oath to do no harm, right? Do no harm. And yet they're facilitating my murder in this fashion, you know? Because they have been weaponized against me. They are the knife cutting into me, you know. They're the axe cutting down my tree. They're the ones defrauding me of life, and they don't even think that they're doing wrong because they've been fed a story, you know. And I will say, for the one doctor who was like, this was a neurologist at Rush who was doing some kind of scan to check me for my spine because, you know, the doctor ordered it, number one. And number two, they said that if he couldn't find anything, they were going to arrest me. So while I'm grateful that he found some scar tissue and lesions in my spine, he shouldn't have been put in that position, you know. I'm grateful to this guy because he didn't go along with the plot against me where he had a conscience and he didn't want me to take the fall even though he had no idea who I was, you know, or even that I was not faking, you know. He had no idea, and yet he had enough good character to judge me with favor and to not go along with their scheme, right? So while I appreciate him, and I appreciate the rheumatologist who also told me that I had microfibromyalgia, but then in the case notes she wrote down myositis, you know, and myositis, something. I don't remember. It's been a really long time. I'd have to look back at the note. But that was something that my original doctor had had written in his files about my diagnosis. You know, it's pain, it's muscle pain, it's stiffness, it's an inability to move. It's a hard knock life for Jesse, you know. But these doctors, outside of these guys, the doctors before them were telling me that I had conditions that I didn't have, and then writing in their notes that I was insisting that I had these diagnoses, right? And it's hard. It's really hard, because then they'd start writing, she says this and there's no proof of this. We have no documentation of this, you know. Um, it's just like they wrote me out to set me up. So while I appreciate the neurologist at Rush, and I appreciate the rheumatologist, these other guys who set me up leading up to this point, where if they hadn't intervened, you know, I would have been arrested for being in pain and suffering, you know. It's ridiculous. And what's even more ridiculous is that they came in and used the same game to run on my kids to make it look like I had some kind of, what's it called? Munchausen by proxy. You know, that's where you make the kids sick to get attention. But I didn't make my kids sick to get attention. They told me my son had glaucoma. Then they told me he was at risk for glaucoma. They told me they had to check him for every 6 months to make sure he didn't have glaucoma. Then I take him to a doctor outside of this area, you know, way back in my old neighborhood. And the doctor says, my son doesn't have glaucoma. He has no chance of ever getting glaucoma. He never had glaucoma. They're just messing with me, you know. So you might think with my doctors in the past, I might be crazy. But when I start telling you about, they did the same thing with my kids, you know, because I stopped seeing doctors. Now here's the trippy part. I stopped seeing doctors, and they tried to make it look like this was on me, that it wasn't because of what they did. They tried to give me a religion that I didn't belong to. They tried to say that I was a Seventh-day Adventist, because the Seventh-day Adventists don't see doctors. They believe God will heal them. And the funny part about this is that by the time they had made me out to be Seventh-day Adventist, I no longer believed in Jesus, you know. I might talk about Christianity sometimes because it's been a part of my life my whole life, but I don't believe. I'm not a believer. I stopped believing when I realized that it was a scam. I realized that it was a scam when I had this bishop who was pretending to help me, but really he was just stringing me along, you know, stringing me along, pretending to be my help. It wasn't. He told me he had a position down there for me, but I had to leave my kids. My bishop. He got a position for me if I leave my kids, right? It's what they've been trying to do for the past 10 years, was separate me from my kids so they could tell whatever story they want. So when Bishop says they got a position for me if I leave my kids, that just tells you, you know, your priest betrays you, that man who claims to be of God is working the same agenda as your enemies. Your priest betrays you, and he made it out like he's a prophet, but you know what? I love that guy. He was a friend to me when I had no friend, when I had no one to talk to, even though he lived 1,000 miles away, you know. Um, they, my trolls try to make it like I'm selling my kids for fame. Because I talked to Bishop, because Bishop has like 15 million followers. My trolls try to make it like I was gold digging. I wasn't. They put his video in my feed in Google, and he asked, "Where are those who suffer for God?" I'm old school. I'm Catholic. You know, we don't get into that dog and pony show. We don't buy into that. We we believe in quiet prayer. You know, we don't get into that trick pony stuff. But because he asked, like, my covenant is suffer for God. Because he asked that, I tried to feel around to see, okay, what are you looking for? Who are you? What's this about? And as soon as I start asking him questions, then he starts figuring things out in my life. And he says he's going to help me, but he's unable to help me, because the people behind the scenes twist everything. They got false witnesses. You're never going to get any help. They're not only going to twist the evidence against you, they're going to twist the person who's helping you against you. So I went down. He kept saying, come to my house. There's provision in my house. There's opportunities in my house. So I drove 1,000 miles a couple times to go down there. And he lied. He didn't see me. He just sat up there saying, believe God. Believe God. Believe God to give you provision. And meanwhile, while I was down there, I was being accused of kidnapping because I brought my kids with me. I wasn't leaving my kids here with their dad. Believe God. You're stringing me along so that I'll stay down there longer. But meanwhile, Dad's up here establishing paternity with the court, And if I hadn't come back up here, I could have been charged with kidnapping. But he's down there saying, believe God. Believe God. Now, mind you, Dad doesn't want the kids. Dad just wants to use the kids to hurt me, to hit me, to prove his case. Because if Dad wanted the kids, he'd have been out there. Like he keeps saying he's going to teach Ben to play basketball. Ben's 14. He's never played basketball with Ben. He keeps saying he's going to do things, and it is pipe dreams. It's all pipe dreams. It's all lip service. He doesn't do anything. He comes home, he lays in his bed. He doesn't get up except for to eat or take a dump. He does not do anything with the kids. If he gets up, it's to yell at them. Clean up this bathroom. What did I tell you about leaving stuff on the sink? He doesn't do anything with the kids. He keeps on saying that I interfere with his relationship with the kids, and I tell him, no, you make no investment. You come down being a bully or just picking on people, and I have to tell you to back off. That's, if you make no investment, then you get no return. You want love, you invest love. You want a relationship, you invest your time. What he wants to be is a dictator. And you know what happens when you don't listen to dictators? They get the belt. And if mom's not here, what happens? Not again. It won't happen again. Not with my kids. Not with my kids. I won't leave them. I won't risk, being charged with kidnapping and losing them, because dude was just on a mission to, I can't even say it was his mission, because he's Delilah. He collaborates with the government in their plots against me. I move, he moves. Whatever I do, they twist and use against me. It's like I'm crippled here. I can't get out of it. Everyone just keeps on hitting me and hitting me. So when the rabbi's wife says being okay when you're not okay, yeah, I've learned to take a beating without shedding a tear. I've learned to walk around with people like trying to take my life and smile and say, hi, how you doing? Act like everything's fine. Because if they really knew how I felt about what they were doing, if they really knew how I felt about being here, if they really knew anything, they would twist all that stuff and use it against me and have me committed somewhere for the rest of my life, not because I need to be committed, but because they want to keep their secrets. It's real hard when somebody in your life sits on you because they hurt you and they want to avoid accountability, so they need you ruined in order so that they can enjoy peace and safety in their life. But it's not the way things are supposed to work, right? Remember in the garden, God said to Adam and Eve, who told you? Like, who told them that this is the way that it's supposed to be? Because it's not just him doing it, it's everyone doing it. Everyone's sitting on me so that they can get away with hurting me. Who told you that it was supposed to be that way? Who told you? You know, it is better to be sorry. It's better to make amends. It's better to find forgiveness from someone than to kill them. You know, you don't get to offer a sacrifice. You know, I told you I don't talk about Christianity much, but when they talk about the abomination who causes desolation because there won't be any more sacrifices, I think, well, maybe I am that abomination that causes desolation because you don't get a damn sacrifice. You did wrong. You own it, you know. You hurt me. You want my forgiveness. You need to make amends. You need to, you know, you need to answer for what you did in one way or another. There needs to be some kind of accountability, you know. You can't just expect me to lose all this time and then continue to pay the cost in silence. You can't just expect that you can absolutely ruin me and I'll just stay silent for the rest of my life, or that I'll kill myself, because they also tell me in my YouTube feed to just go ahead and kill myself all the time, you know. You just keep on taking from me and taking from me and taking from me. And you know what? You're nothing but snakes. They are nothing but snakes. Like, seriously, you know? My time is up. I'm at like 31 minutes, but I just wanted